Hey, Joe Escobedo here, and I'm excited to have James Ching on the show. Thank you for joining us, James.
Thank you for inviting me. It's good to be here.
So, quick overview on James. James is most recently with Scholastic Asia, heading up the regional marketing. He's been with Lego. He's done work in New York City, Denmark, Singapore, Beijing. He's been everywhere and kind of done everything. So I'm very excited to have James in the show. So James, because you have such extensive experience doing regional marketing, what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've seen, a common challenge in your roles managing regional communications, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think in my previous roles, the biggest challenge that I see is that a lot of businesses sometimes still struggle with how to put marketing, in terms of defining it as a role or function. I think a lot of businesses still tend to see marketing as kind of like a in-house, on-demand marketing production, setup. That's fine, but that's kind of just a very limited part of the marketing value chain. So I tend to want to see marketing as a more proactive engine for driving new business for brands and all that. So I think part of the challenge is really convincing and selling that idea to everyone in the organization that marketing can do so much more than just come up with nice, beautiful collaterals for sales, right? So that's one challenge. I think related to that is also the fact that a lot of teams are maybe still struggling to figure out what kind of KPIs they want to set for themselves for marketing initiatives. And also for events and activities, I see teams sometimes struggle with doing the same activities all over again year after year, but maybe they do not ask what outcomes are they asking for those activities, and are they spending the dollar where to generate the outcomes that they want. And so that's where I think getting the teams to focus on discipline and structure and consistency, measuring against the activities that they have against the KPIs that they have set for themselves is super key, super hard to do because when you put a KPI out there, people get scared. So yeah.
So no, I think that's a good point you made in terms of kind of business as usual. I think a lot of larger organizations, they tend to do kind of the same activities year over year, but you really said kind of highlighting the importance of putting KPIs and metrics up front to making sure that you are learning from what you're doing and constantly optimizing. Now, would you say those kind of metrics or regional frameworks are something the regional team should be creating?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the basic minimum, all teams should be looking at the current set of activities that they have, not make a judgment about whether these activities are effective or not at first, but really just setting a target for each of them, be it a workshop that, for example, has 200 teachers. So set that as a target and then measure against that when the teachers actually show up. And then basically, as you learn from that event, what are the things that we did well? What are the things that we did not do well? How could we actually do better? And then apply those learnings to the next iteration of the same event. And if an event consistently or initiative consistently does not deliver against the targets that you've set for yourself, then it tells you, hey, maybe we need to replace this initiative or event with something else that works better for the same amount of resources that we are investing. Yeah.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now, because you have successfully done kind of regional marketing all over the world, we'll focus a bit more on Asia. Now, without your experience, what would you say is like your best tip for successfully managing regional marketing in Asia?
I would say a lot of marketing leaders in Asia that I talk to tell me different things. So some actually prefer an approach where the local market teams are focusing on just execution and basically so-called command and control of marketing is sitting within the regional setup. And usually coming into a regional role like that, also puts on maybe certain expectations that you need to describe and define your expertise, and you need to drive certain things and things like that. For me, I actually take a more balanced and flexible approach. I would say that at the end of the day, I have only one rule along the entire marketing value chain. If you look at all the spectrum of activities that relate to marketing, which part of the organization can deliver that the best in terms of being most effective and in terms of being cost saving as well. So, and that answer could look very different for different types of activities. For example, if you look at local influencer marketing, if you look at local events, there's no way a regional marketing team sitting somewhere very far away can do that more efficiently and effectively as the local teams. So those activities rightly should sit with the local teams to manage and drive. Certain activities such as content marketing, digital marketing lend themselves to economies of scale and strategizing and planning that is better suited for regional marketing to drive. And so those types of activities should actually sit with the regional teams. And of course, the main task of regional teams in most organizations would be actually to interpret what the global messages and communication strategies would be, and then localize that, take that down to the local level for the region, and then working with each of the regional teams to figure out what the local market strategy should be, given the global communications priorities. Yeah, so I think we need to take a flexible approach, and other marketing leaders tell me that they one way to ensure that marketing teams in the markets, take control to the regional marketing teams is they take the budget away. And I actually am quite against that. I actually came from a sales background at first, and I know that there are certain activities that I want to drive, and that I want to drive very suddenly and very dynamically, because I see a change. I see a new opportunity that wasn't in the marketing plan that was discussed with the regional team months ago, right? So, but I want to take advantage of that opportunity. And if that functionality is taken away from me, then it constrains me to deliver my business. So I think as a ballpark rule, I would probably take a 60-40 rule in terms of budget allocations between regional and local teams.
So 60-40 meaning local markets.
Yes, but it's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a guideline.
Now, I'm sure all the regional marketing listeners will be very happy because they get the bulk of the revenue. But yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, maybe they'll be more happy with 100%, but that's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So our last question comes from Lipika in Singapore. She asked, how can marketing create content along the customer lifecycle from awareness to buying to implementation/adoption?
Yeah, so that's a great question from Lipika on LinkedIn, and I thank her for that question. I think it really boils down to what our organization wants in terms of goals for the customer to be able to do at each stage of the customer journey, right? So let's look at the awareness phase first. So in terms of the awareness phase, most organizations will usually set a goal that they want the customer to be knowledgeable about their product, to be aware of their company, and to try their new product out. So this means that the content here needs to be attention grabbing usually, and it needs to be sharp, short and sweet, and basically hitting the key USPs, and preferably what others are saying about the product already that are good, and also focusing on content that resonates with pain points of your target audience. So key questions to be asked over here in crafting the content would be, what does the product do? What problem does it help the customer solve? And why should I watch this video? Yeah. In the consideration phase, so basically we have moved the customer from being aware of who we are, what we do, and what our product does, into a phase where the customer is already considering ourselves compared to a few competitors. So that's good. So we've been shortlisted, but there's also other competitors. So at this point, the tone and the requirements of the content marketing probably needs to change a little bit from the awareness phase. And basically a lot of companies fall into this trap where they go and reiterate the product benefits again. But at this point in time, I think what's more important is to be mindful that the customer is already considering you, but they are also considering you vis-a-vis the nearest competitor. So it's important to tweak the content that we have in terms of not just talking about product features, but really also talking about how our product solves a customer problem better than a competitor, faster, cheaper, whatever, so focus on vis-a-vis competitor. I think that's the key keyword there to be mindful of in the consideration phase. In the implementation phase, the most content already exists here in most organizations. So we're talking about user guides, FAQs, and where can customer find support, customer service, and best practices and things like that. So I think the main goal here for content marketing is to make sure that there are no hiccups, that the implementation experience of the customer is a great one. I think the customer will probably find something like a first 100 days guide very useful or helpful, especially for users that are unfamiliar or they're novice users. They can always feel more secure with a guide like that tells them that as a brand or as a company, you are with them 100% of the way, hand-holding them from day 1 to day 100. And at the end of day 100, they could be ready to actually be your advocate. And then that's when you need to create the communities for them to be able to showcase and show off what they know about your product to other users or prospects out there. Yeah.
So James, you made 3 really, really good points that I wanted to reemphasize. The first was around creating content in the awareness stage. We talked about not only creating content, incorporating your own USPs, but listening to the market and finding out what other people are already saying about your product, your brand, your service, and incorporating that into the content as well. I think that is something I reinforce with a lot of my clients and saying, hey, you can't look so much from an inside out as much as you should from an outside in perspective. So I think it's a really good point that a lot of marketers should take note of. The second was around consideration phase and creating content around that. So you mentioned creating content that has like comparisons versus your competitors. Now, I think a lot of companies are scared to do that. They're scared to bring up their competitors, but I think that's quite naive because anyone who is doing research online, 9 times out of 10, rough figure, they are looking at not only your products and services, but your competitors. So by doing the kind of legwork and already providing content saying, okay, here's how we are better, here's how they might be better, and so on, you're providing them with the content they need, and it's all hosted ideally on your channels and stuff like that. So it's actually driving traffic to your respective channels. And the last thing I think was really great was the implementation guide, the 100-day guide for new users, because it goes back to a lot of the times I see, especially in the tech industry, people will purchase a new product or service, they get really excited, and then it just fizzles out. And then I always ask them why. It's like, well, we didn't have maybe enough support or training early on, and so at the end of the day, we didn't really understand how to use it or how to use it effectively. So I think that 100-day guide in terms of how do you get the most out of the product or service, and then how, as you as an organization, can support them. Excellent ideas. Really, really love them. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate it. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you or collaborate with you?
Yeah, so I'm actually quite active on LinkedIn, so you can always find me on LinkedIn. My name is James Ching. That's my profile. And so I'm happy to connect with everyone out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, James. For everyone watching, if you like this video, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll bring you more videos like this. So thank you so much, James. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.